We're going to go with some election updates, which is actually the housing updates. Tom, what do you have? What's going on with Gavin, with California? I know you have some stuff about Elizabeth Warren and everything, but I want you to
let's talk about two things.
Okay.
Let's talk about housing in the election as being presented by the Democrats, and then let's talk about California as a whole, because I think we've all got some commentary on there. Okay. So what is happening is there's, after spending the last 2 years under Biden saying everything is great, you know, inflation's coming down, and trying to sell us on it and realizing that it wasn't. Suddenly we get into the election cycle and they're willing to say things are actually not as good. And they have announced that they're going to, Kamala Harris says, the tax credits of up to $25,000 to first-time home buyers, and we're going to buy 3 million homes. Build 3 million homes. So here's what's going on there. They know we need more homes for sale because the supply needs to be for sale for prices to come down even a little bit. That's just a fact. And unless people want to sell their homes, and people with the 2% and 3% mortgages don't want to sell their home, mom and dad are keeping the home in Pennsylvania and they're renting down in Florida when they come down for the winter. They're not letting go of that, you know, mortgage with the payment based on 2.5% to 3.5%. So until those houses come on the market, or we build more houses on the market, prices aren't coming down. So they're throwing out this goal of building 3 million new homes in 4 years, but they're not saying where they're going to build them. Yeah. How are you going to? Are you partnering with Toll Brothers? Are you partnering with some of the Linares, some of the great builders of America to do it? They're building as fast as they can. How the hell are you going to do it? So that is an empty promise. And then $25,000 to first-time home buyers, to cover down payment and closing costs. It's like, okay, so you want to give people a little leg up, but where does that money come from? That money is tax money that's just going to come from you and me today, taxes, or tomorrow, more deficit and long-term national debt you have to pay for. So this is populist baloney being promulgated by Kamala Harris after 2 years of saying, isn't Joe Biden great? Everything is going great in the economy. And now they're running out and saying, and we're trying to see if we can get the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, knowing we're going to get a rate decrease of 1/4 point in September. And they're kind of putting themselves in a position to take credit for it. So no surprise here. This is an empty promise. Nothing is going to happen for America. Meanwhile,
here we go.
Meanwhile, let's go to California and make this an all-skate discussion here.
Okay.
Gavin Newsom comes out and says, hey, this is what we're going to do. We have the homeless problem, and a lot of recent immigrants are among the homeless. They came over here. They have no home. They're sleeping in tents. They're looking for places. It's the familiar. They're in a tent city under an overpass because they walked across from Mexico and are trying to figure it out. And they're just trying to get shelter from their family, end up in a tent city, which creates a lot of other social problems. So suddenly Gavin Newsom, realizing that crime in this or in California, he runs out, puts on work gloves and sunglasses and saying, I am tired of this crap. These cities in California have not been doing. We have been enabling them. What did he say? Sacramento has given billions of dollars from Sacramento for this. So now it's the mayor's problem and the mayor's fault in his own state that he's had attacking. He says, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to sign this bill. Money is going to come for the down payment. And you don't necessarily have to repay it in this lifetime, is the fine print. So you have recent immigrants coming here without credit being given a down payment for free so that they could buy a home, and then they move into it on a highly subsidized and adjusted payment. Meanwhile, you have citizens of California that are trying to figure out how they get into the house. They graduated from college. The state's more expensive. It looks nothing like the California's parents have told them about. And they can't afford and can't get a house. And they're still living in the den at their dad's house.
Wow.
And they're saying, wait a minute. So the newbies come here? Gavin Newsom is doing this to create an optical improvement in the homelessness by getting them off the street and into these houses. And the absolute, inequity to the hardworking, tax-paying citizens of California be damned.
Unbelievable.
What do you think?
And because what was it? The bill that was passed in the House is expected to be approved by the Senate by Newsom. 2 million illegal.
House, California Senate.
Yeah, California Senate. My bad. 2 2 million illegals will qualify for the program. AB 1840 will prevent the state's Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loans program from denying individuals the basis of their immigration status. So, Tom, how is
Keep reading.
Okay,
And
the program will allow participants to get loans up to 20% of the home's purchase price, or what a typical down payment is,
a
with
down payment.
zero down payment on the state loan required.
And when do they pay it back? Keep reading.
There are no provisions on how the borrower can pay back, meaning they can come home, live in it for as long as they want without ever paying a dime.
Right.
How long?
Yeah, so the only people that are going to be good on this is the people that just sold a little home to an immigrant because they get,
of course,
the house gets sold.
Oh, man.
But now that 20% is on the back of the California taxpayers.
Oh, so and then, which one's this one, Robbie? Now, this was
this is the election update regarding RFK.
Oh, okay. So, Tom, I'm going to make a shift. George Conway, you said, made a statement in regard to RFK, and what was it, Tom?
Oh, Donald Trump, it appears that JFK Jr. went to the highest bidder. This is George Conway all but admitting that he knows that RFK is going to endorse Trump.
On Friday.
That's what he's saying. Because otherwise, George Conway would saying, in Trump's dreams, RFK is an independent guy. We've got our differences with him, but he's not going anywhere. Wouldn't George Conway say that? We know George Conway, the bombastic guy that he is.
Yeah.
Instead, he's sitting there saying, I guess it went to the highest bidder. I think this is Dems. This is one of their first mouthpiece strategists admitting that they know what's about to happen. And to Rob, your point, chaos chapter 9.
Yeah.
Yep, it's supposed to occur Friday, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Kennedy is going to address the nation during a live stream. According to reports, he is going to end his campaign and he is going to back Donald Trump. Donald Trump says RFK Jr. would probably have a role in his administration. This came out from the Daily Caller yesterday. According to the Daily Caller, Trump told CNN's Kristen Holmes during a campaign event in Michigan that he would love to receive Kennedy's endorsement. The former president added that he would certainly be open to having Kennedy in his administration if the third-party candidate were to drop out of the race, saying, "I like him a lot. I respect him a lot. I probably would if something like that would happen. He's a very different kind of guy, a very smart guy. And yes, I would be honored by that endorsement, certainly."
You know what's wild? When is this happening? Friday at 2 p.m.
Imagine
at Friday, once he's done at 2:05, they're like, Biden's like, Secret Service, you're done. We're not giving you Secret Service protection anymore.
What's interesting is for this announcement, it is, I don't know how much of a game changer this will be. I'll leave that for you guys to discuss. It is interesting that this is coming out on Friday at 2 p.m. This is not something that's breaking news. This is leading up to a scheduled release.
Yeah.
My question, why 2 p.m. on a Friday? Typically, when the news is going to dump a story that they hope gets buried in the course of the weekend, and, it'll get reported on, but by Monday, it's a whole new news cycle, and people aren't reporting on it. Why make that a point? Why make that announcement on
When is
2 p.m. on a
Kamala's
Friday?
acceptance speech?
Thursday.
When's Kamala's speech?
That's a great point. Kamala's acceptance speech.
Is.
So it's Thursday night. So Friday afternoon, RFK's apparently going to come up and say,
Because there's
I'm supporting Donald Trump. And so here's my question to you, Tom, while Rob's looking this up.
Close out tonight.
Closes out. Yeah, it's done tonight.
So Kamala's speaking tonight. The news cycle is revving up tomorrow. Vinny.
Yeah.
Remember we were talking about what two people died the same day?
Oh, yeah. Farrah Fawcett and Michael Jackson died around the same time on the same day. Farrah Fawcett died first, and the news was like, hey, late breaking news, Farrah Fawcett. And then what happened?
And it was like, we interrupt this news. So Farrah Fawcett died at approximately 10 in the morning. Yeah. It says at 11, the news was out. One of America's sweethearts, Farrah Fawcett, has succumbed to cancer.
Very sad.
And then this just in, because police scanners in L.A. picked up that, victim in cardiac arrest.
Michael Jackson.
And it was the Holmby Hills location for Michael Jackson. They interrupted the coverage of Farrah Fawcett has just passed away.
There.
I interrupt. Hang on. Farrah Fawcett has died. Wait, hang on a second. Ambulances are heading to the home that's currently being rented by Michael Jackson. It says that someone is in cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And an hour later at 2 o'clock, they said Michael Jackson has been pronounced dead.
And people forgot it, like the news
People
story.
forgot about it. This is what's about to happen. What I'm bringing that up, and there's a tragedy. 2 people died there. But the point was the bigger news eclipsed the other news. So you're giving Kamala Harris wants to get the bounce out into the news cycle tomorrow for the weekend, and they are putting a bomb right in the middle of that roadway in RFK jumping out, which I think strategically is one of the smartest things. If this is the way it works, it's one of the smartest things that the Trump campaign has done in 45 days, because they have been kind of flat-footed strategically and in terms of message and unification, have they not?
Yeah, this is this was coordinated to go out Friday, 2 p.m. to basically subdue whatever happened at the DNC for the last 4 days.
Yep.
And I'm glad that you kind of
Gave them the
establish the
analogy.
fact that the bigger story will trump, no pun intended, the smaller story, because Farrah Fawcett, with all due respect, shame Michael
amazing, but-
Jackson, bro.
Yeah.
Stop.
No,
so
that's the point.
Exactly. But so there's also another narrative of who won the weekend. That's a whole thing. If you see stories that always
course,
drop
who
on
won the
Friday,
weekend?
when they do the Sunday morning press briefs, like they basically, go over what happened this past week.
Yeah, meet the
They
press,
establish-
face the nation, all that.
Exactly. Who won the weekend? And 100% the DNC won the weekend until what?
RFK.
RFK. So
Yeah.
there's some strategy
Do
going on
you
there.
remember the name, Tom, you may remember this name, Gary Condit
Yes.
and Chandra Levy? Chandra Levy was the intern for Gary Condit. He was a U.S. representative. They had an affair. She went missing in May of 2001. He then, their affair becomes public because he was married July 7th of 2001. The entire news cycle of July and August of 2001 was Gary Condit, this missing woman. September 11th, and his involvement. September 11th happens. No one ever talks about Gary Condit again or Chandra Levy. Turns out Chandra Levy was murdered by some stranger. Gary Condit had nothing to do with it, but nobody ever picked up on that story ever again.
Nobody cares.
All anybody remember was Gary Condit had something to do with Chandra Levy disappearing. It ended his political career, and 9/11 wiped him off the front page
Because
of every
ultimately
newspaper.
what you're saying is come Monday, there's always going to be a news story or a bigger story.
Yes. for
Trump
sure.
got shot in the face. All right, next thing.
Joe Biden dropped
jumped
out.
Like, there's always going to be something that takes the place of the biggest story, and that's the quick, hypersensitive news media that we're in right now. Is that there's going to be a story dude? We're gonna talk about this episode. By the end of the day, there's going to be a bigger story than we're talking about today.
At 2 p.m. tomorrow, RFK makes this announcement. What are your guys' thoughts on how that impacts the remainder of the 2024 election?
So I was looking at polls all this week, and all this week, you've heard me talk about it. They like to talk about the national poll, where many national polls have had Kamala Harris 1.5 to 2 points ahead. Oh, look at the momentum. National polls is like time of possession of a football game. That's not what wins the game. Field goals and touchdowns wins the game, and those are state electoral votes. That's a simple way to think about it for the average person. And when you go look at it, Arizona has spread a little bit more Trump this week during the DNC. Georgia has spread a little bit more Trump this week. So what is happening on the ground of the states is the enthusiasm bounce of Kamala has come into the DNC, and the core Democrats that are watching are being energized, seeing the Obamas speaking again. There's a lot of energy for the core base. But are they winning over independents with any new and interesting messages? Well, they were trying to do so with this housing thing. They were trying to do so by saying they're going to tax people. They were trying to do so by saying that we're going to go after grocery gouging, whatever go after means.
Don't even know what the hell that
So they
means.
were trying these populist things to see if they could pull the independent. She is living in a bounce right now, but there has not been the level of the Obama convention bounce was fatal to McCain. The Obama convention bounce was nearly fatal to Romney. Romney almost neutralized it after the first debate and then sagged in the second debate. You take a look at what happened. Hillary got less of a bounce than people thought because everybody thought, well, it's just more Hillary all the time. There's nothing we don't know. And there was no enthusiasm for Hillary. We've seen that. And so now you're looking at it. This week has not been a big Obama bounce, anything close to an Obama bounce. And it's been barely as much as the Hillary bounce. statistically, this isn't my opinion. This is just stats of history. And so if this RFK thing moves independence, I want to see things a week from Monday on what's called the normalizing poll set. A week from Monday.
Yeah.
And I'm betting you're going to be back with Trump having about 80% of the leads that he had under Biden, if they choose to campaign and push and drive.
Yeah.
So is this because
And then she has to talk.
again, yes, I go back to
debate.
the
As soon as that happens,
Yeah.
I go back to the buying a new car and then recognizing that car every time you're driving the car. Is this we're paying more? Like, it feels like the media shift in Kamala has been, and I'm wondering if this is paid advertisement on social media, and that's what I'm seeing. But it feels like my feeds have been inundated with, I'm a white guy, I'm voting for Harris.
Yes.
I'm a black lesbian, I'm voting for Harris. It feels like my entire feed is people identifying who they are and that they're voting for Kamala, and that is all. Like, it feels like my feed has been hijacked. Is that part of the strategy to inundate the masses on social media through ad buys so that they feel like this propaganda? It's do you get what I'm saying? Like, is it actually this level of support, or am I again falling victim to propaganda
That's your
because of the
algorithm, buddy.
algorithm?
No, it's not.
That's your algorithm.
It's not the algorithm. It's the amount of money that. Because Tom, did she inherit that $200 million that they raised? Did she get that?
Nobody spoke definitively,
But it's-
it appears that the war chest for Biden has
Kinda
been
transferred to Kamala.
repurposed for
Yeah,
Harris.
because it said there was an here we go. Harris, this is from Reuters. Harris election effort raises more than $500 million in a month.
Rob, and that's
In a
why
month.
she is everywhere on yours.
$500
She's
million.
everywhere on mine. Everything that I see, there's an ad, and it's her or Barack saying this, or they need $5 or they need $10, and it's. By the way, on what station right now, mainstream legacy media, are you seeing Trump? Obviously, Fox.
Yeah.
Right? Like, meaning in a positive light. List all the ones that are on the left. MSNBC, CNN, ABC.
Just say all non-Fox.
All non-Fox. So she's like, and you're not, it's a propaganda mission that they're just, because bro, the more they push her in your face, the more you're like, okay, I can get used to her. Even though they don't know nothing about her, she has no record. She has no, her history is abysmal, but people don't care. And Adam said it from your first point. It's just, what's in your face? What's in your face? She's a woman. She's a woman of color. Come on, ladies. Come on, ladies.
Because it feels, and this is why I brought this up, because I think it gives validity to what Tom says. You can't propagandize the polls.
Yeah.
You cannot propagandize the stats and the actual facts and numbers.
The good polls. There are some polls that are corrupt.
Okay, correct. But
you're right.
For me, I got to be honest. The past couple of weeks, it felt like, and it felt like we were losing this election. And now I step back and I go, okay, well, it is. It's not that there is this tremendous amount of support across the nation for her. It's on these social media feeds. And if you step back and look outside of that, let's give it some time and see how the Kamala bounce actually happens. But don't believe, this is weird. It's like 1984. Don't believe what you're seeing. I'm telling you not to believe what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Because what you're seeing is propaganda. Don't believe it. This is not the actual America or America's reaction or the American voters' reaction to Kamala.
So
it's
let's
the
just,
algorithm.
Let's go look at the
know
calendar.
about that, dude.
What is the date of the one
September
double confirmed
10th. September
Correct.
10th.
September 10th. And today is the 22nd. So we have 7 and 10, so that's 17. In 21 days, look at the normalizing polls. That's all you have to do. And they will be normalized out before the debate. And that debate, if anyone on the DNC side does not believe that debate is not just critical, it is vital, and it is the hinge of which the election door will swing. Because I believe there's going to be a normalizing out, and Trump is not going to have the lead he had over Biden. It's less than that. But I think we need to see, is the Trump campaign is the Trump campaign apparatus going to drive successfully? Are they going to really be, effectively spending against what has been in their faces? $500 million has been raised. All of that is coming after the media event, which has not had the super pop. And I'm looking at this weekend, and I'm looking at next weekend. I want to see the normalizing polls, and I'm predicting that while it will still be a tight election, that going into the debate, it will be the Dems will be the ones that are sweating unless the Trump campaign just doesn't show up and there's some horrible gaffe.
Yeah. And I'm because I think we're almost done, Rob. I want to just skip to, if you guys don't mind, Tom, the migrant story that I found. Connor, is this it?
Want to just
what's
and
up?
as you go to the voting booth, remember 28% of Americans are looking for a new job, the highest in 14 years.
28%.
28%. So let's just leave that there. That's a fact.
Yeah.
As you go to the voting booth, think about your country, but maybe think about yourself. What kind of economy do you want to go find that new job in?
Yeah, show them that. Can you go back, Connor? Show them that. Tom, just really, really quick. What is that?
Oh, and then there's Elizabeth Warren. This is great. Elizabeth Warren comes out and she says, Elizabeth Warren tweet, I'm reading verbatim without emphasis. Have you noticed that groceries cost a lot more than they did a few years ago? ? You're not the only one, period. Massive food corporations have kept prices up nationwide to exploit consumers and make a profit. It's time to bring them down. That is from Elizabeth Warren. That is the whole tweet. She's saying this as if people are stupid and haven't noticed it. Sarah Eisen of CNBC, thank you, Sarah. She says, Kroger's gross, in a reply tweet, Kroger's gross margin in fiscal first quarter, which ends May 25th, was 20.2%. This is the same as the 19.9% level in January 22. In other words, Kroger is making the exact same profit margin that they were back in the middle of COVID. Albertsons was 25.8%, down from 28% in February 2020. So Albertsons is less profitable. So words talk, numbers scream, and Elizabeth Warren. And by the way, this chart here, if you're watching on YouTube versus on Spotify, this is a chart clearly showing that the profits that grocery chains, food corporations were making over the last 4 years has been declining. So prices may be up for that jar of applesauce, but the apples, the machine that crushed them into sauce, the glass jar, the label, and shipping are all costing the company more, and they're making less profit on that than they did, and you and I are paying more for it.
And back to the job numbers, 28% of Americans are now searching for a job. But then yesterday, the U.S. Department of Labor announced that the U.S. economy actually added 818,000 fewer jobs than previously reported.
Oh, wait, so they lied to us?
So there's 28% of people looking for more jobs, and there's 818,000 less jobs that were reported.
Oh, great.
And by the way, if you're listening, I don't care what your political affiliation is, and you could be really upset and writing crazy, angry comments to this right now. Pause for a second and just think of the following. Our government, your government, my government, our government announced less than 2 weeks ago jobs numbers, and they gave credit to themselves, to the current administration and to certain senators. They all took credit for that. Never mind your political party. That was a number. 2 weeks later, while we're all distracted by a convention and by other news items, they slip in, and thank goodness certain business news organizations found it, that number, nearly 1 million jobs, were BS that was in that jobs report. And now they announce the revision. Well, regular revision is basically a pattern of deceit. And ladies and gentlemen, we have to be on the ball as people. We have to demand accountability from our elected officials because this is the new pattern of deceiving us.
And the data was released on Wednesday. That's still preliminary, those 818,000 jobs. The final figures, guess when they're expected to be released? Way after the election.
Oh, weird.
In February.
Oh, great
So
timing.
you're not even going to actually get the actual final figures until after the election.
Yeah, because we have to order batteries for the calculator, and it's a special battery.
And Amazon's out of stock.
But think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we're wrong, and we know we're wrong, at least this, and we'll let you know how wrong after you voted for, forget the president, senators, congressmen, mayors, governors, everybody that's in part of that machine. We're going to tell you the whole truth, if it's the whole truth, after the election. Think about that.
February of 2025.
Think about that.
And this is from March of 2023 to April of 2023. So it's going to take you almost 23 months to release the final stats on a jobs report from 2023.
Adam, you talk to people about money. Would you recommend telling the government that You think you owe them $20,000 taxes in February. Then you wait and you don't pay it. And you wait till August and you say, wait, I'm pretty sure it should be $15,000 taxes, but let you know in January. What would happen to we can't do that. The government gets to do it to us, but we couldn't do that.
Oh, of course not.
You'd have fines on your taxes. It just shows the one-way street that this is.
Yeah, and nothing's going right. And by the way, and I hope the people that are listening, that should, like we talked about from the beginning of this podcast, Adam, you set it off, your vote. When you go vote, these are the type of things that you have to go for. Not for, you know what, I wasn't going to vote for her, but remember they had Oprah up there. Oprah swayed my vote. Do not let them get to you. What's up, everybody? Vincent O'Shaughnessy here. If you want to see me and the entire Valuetainment crew, we will be at the Volt Conference September 4th through the 7th at the Palm Beach Convention Center, hosted by none other than Patrick Bet-David and featuring Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Guys, this is the place to be. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to level up, do not miss this opportunity. This is the best place to network. If you want tickets, go to thevoltconference.com. Do not waste time. This thing is going to sell out, and I will see you guys there. Peace and love. So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.